If you've ever typed out a message asking for help and then deleted it, this might be about more than embarrassment. If you've ever told someone, "It's okay, I've got it," when you were already overwhelmed, that's not just independence. And if people describe you as strong, capable, low maintenance, but deep down you feel exhausted from holding everything alone, there's a pattern there. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look like trauma, but it says more than you think. Struggling to ask for help is rarely about not needing it. It's usually about what asking represents. On the surface, it can look like pride, or persistence, or maybe just being used to doing things alone. But underneath that behavior is something quieter. When you don't ask for help, you're controlling the outcome. You don't risk being rejected. You don't risk being misunderstood. You don't risk someone seeing that you're struggling. That's not arrogance. That's protection. A lot of people who struggled to ask for help learned early that their needs were inconvenient. Maybe when they asked for something, the response was irritation, dismissal, or silence. So they adapted. They became the easy one, the independent one, the one who doesn't need much, and over time, that adaptation turned into an identity. It happens in small moments. You hesitate before asking a question because you don't want to sound stupid. You carry emotional weight alone because you don't want to burden anyone. You overthink whether your problem is big enough to deserve support. That internal debate is already a sign. People who feel safe asking don't usually measure their needs like that. And here's where it gets interesting. The real reason often isn't confidence. It's control. When you don't ask for help, you stay in control of your image. You get to be the competent one, the reliable one, the strong one. But asking for help introduces uncertainty, whether someone will show up, judge you, think less of you, or remember your vulnerability later. For someone who learned that vulnerability can backfire, asking for help can feel like stepping into emotional risk without armor. So instead, you become self-sufficient to the point of isolation. And society often praises that. We glorify independence. We admire people who seem like they don't need anyone. We call them resilient, but sometimes resilience is just a nervous system that doesn't trust support. That changes how you move through relationships. You might be the friend everyone leans on, but you rarely lean back. You might give advice easily, but struggle to admit when you're confused. You might show up for everyone's crises, but quietly disappear during your own. It's not that you don't want a connection. It's that asking creates exposure. Exposure means someone sees your unfinished parts, your uncertainty, your limits. And if your identity was built around being capable, that can feel threatening. Because if you're not the strong one, who are you? When a child grows up feeling safest when they're low maintenance, they often learn that love is more stable when they're useful or easy, so they become hyper-competent. They solve their own problems, regulate their own emotions, and avoid making waves. Eventually, asking for help doesn't just feel difficult, it feels unnatural. But there's a quiet cost to that pattern. If you handle everything alone, you never owe anyone anything. You don't feel dependent, and you don't risk someone withdrawing support later. Self-reliance becomes a shield against disappointment because if no one is involved, no one can let you down. But that shield also makes you harder to see. When people don't see your struggles, they assume you don't have any. When you don't voice your needs, others assume you don't need support. And slowly, the identity hardens. I'm just not the type who asks. But that sentence is rarely a personality trait. It's a survival pattern. It was built in environments where needing something felt unsafe or pointless. So you adapted. You became strong. But strength that never rests eventually feels heavy. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And that awareness alone changes how you understand yourself. If this explains something you've quietly experienced, like and subscribe for more psychology-based insights into human behavior. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, comment below. I'm curious how many people relate to carrying things alone. Recognizing your patterns is often how you begin to understand the person you have to become.